Okay, so this is like one of those ones that I'll make that this will just get banned from TikTok because I'm totally talking about a conspiracy theory. But I want to make sure I get this out there because I do think it is actually a realistic scenario. Okay. Especially given who Kamala Harris is, who Tim Walz is, and how I see them uh, lesser evils and less pawnish, Pawn, more like good, bigger, higher echelon people. Um, the things I think about are how far back did they know, and I want to make sure. I learned very recently that three little agencies in the United States have been keeping tabs on Donald Trump's relationship with Russia for 37 years. That's a couple generations of employees at three-letter agencies that have been keeping an eye on Donald Trump, who his buddies are the world's bad actors. And as things unfold, right? People are they're sick, waiting and saying, Jared, I hope what you're saying is true. Right. And I empathize with your pain. And I want to put this out there. And I want you to consider that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and Tim Walz and the good people in the Democratic Party that always try to do the best by Americans, that do not take money necessarily from Russia or Israel. Generally, those people can probably be trusted, and there's probably not very many of those people in government. And I would point to those people and say those people eventually will start to speak out. Okay, and for the record, Bernie Sanders is a great example. He and another elected official talked about what's going on in Gaza, and tried. I believe they tried to put sanctions on Israel, the IDF, Benjamin Netanyahu. He has a warrant out from the ICC. That means you get tried at the Hague. Like, I don't think people realize what kind of times we live in. Okay, world leaders, corrupt, horrible people, by the way, are being taken down systematically. And the rule of law is going to win. And I want you to consider the reality that Joe Biden's administration has the media and the GOP by the balls. And I want you to consider the alternate reality in which when Donald Trump went to the White House, understand, like, he has already been president. What does he need to go to the White House to have lunch for? To kind of learn the ins and outs of the job? Right? Again, I've said he and J.D. Vance are patsy. Hence, J.D. Vance's silence and Donald Trump's lack of gloating. Really. Or, basically making everybody listen to an abridged version of Party in the USA while he floats through your town of him dragging Kamala Harris by a chain while she's dressed like a slutty dog. Oh, and you think it's me with the fetish? Consider that actually exists and that you're just trying to suspend reality. Then yes, that float appeared in a parade before the election. So, consider that when Donald Trump went to the White House and they sat in front of the fire and Joe Biden looked so happy and like he didn't have a care in the world, almost like he was on a gummy. And Donald Trump looked like he was beat fucking red, right? Because they're sitting in front of that fire. And somebody pointed out to me that they don't normally light that fire. So I want you to consider the reality that maybe Kamala Harris greeted Donald Trump and said, congratulations on this election, and understand that if you were to try to take the office of president, you would be in the violation of the 14th Amendment, Article 3. and that I can't in good conscience certify this election in your behalf because I am duty bound as the vice president. Why do you think Elon Musk floated having Kamala Harris killed? Because she can absolutely fucking do that. Tell me I'm fucking wrong. And Joe Biden can back that shit up with immunity. Just saying. I'm just saying factual things. Like, that could absolutely happen. And I think she could have told Donald Trump that. And that's why he looks so deflated. And his energy was so bad. And he almost seemed to acquiesce to Joe Biden, to like play the lesser god. The devil, even. That's what he looked like next to Joe Biden. Joe Biden looked like God to me. Donald Trump looked like the devil. He's beat fucking red. He's very rigid. Tell me when I'm wrong. Call me out when I'm lying. And I just want to say, the way the media has been trotting out all of Donald Trump's cabinet appointees, who are all co-conspirators, and they're also mostly now almost entirely white men that are guilty of some kind of sex crime. It's actually fucking pretty rough out here. If you're being appointed to a cabinet position by Donald Trump, you've got something you're trying to cover up, which is hilarious to me in the age of the internet. It's very hard to hide things, but I mean, good luck with that. You know what I mean? Keep in mind, I don't have a criminal record. I don't smoke or drink except in celebration, and try to keep it pretty nominal, even at that, because everything in balance. If you've ever had fucking heartburn, then you know what I'm saying is right. Like, you gotta start eating better and exercising, because like dying from just having heartburn for the next 50 years of your life ain't the play. Just anyway, what I'm making this video is I guess I needed to get the point across, where consider that the narrative right now could very well be being constructed by Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and then their administration, where their silence means they're investigating and they're being thorough because she's a prosecutor, and that prosecutors don't go to the podium and give you status updates. They just do the hard fucking work. They roll up their sleeves. I think that was something she said. And do the hard work. Is that something she said? And I believe in that. I'm the physical embodiment of that. I you know what I would love to be? I was thinking about this. You know Key and Peele? I love Key and Peele, right? And remember Obama had President Obama, sir, love you, sir. The Key and Peele, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Keegan-Michael Key, is the interpreter for President Obama. I would love to be that for Kamala Harris, or help particularly a black Asian woman. I would love, like Saturday Night Live, like helping write her commentary. I would love to fucking do that shit. That would be like a dream, right? Maya Rudolph, I would love to just sit in a meeting and chip in a line or two. You know what I mean? I could really throw some, because I've done stand-up comedy and I'm huge into politics, and like her character blows me away. Anyway, so consider that like they control the narrative. Consider that like Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, or Kamala Harris and her husband, and for the record, Tim Walz's wife, done a pretty good job of keeping herself out of the public eye, I think. Just throwing that out there. But like, Kamala Harris and her husband, they still are like, so all smiles, and like taking like happy holiday pictures. And I'm telling you, if and I also want to point this out, because from her call on Tuesday, and I don't know if Tim Walz was in Hawaii too, so I'm going to leave that off the table right now because I don't know if he's out there. But unlike many people you'll ever meet in your life, my parents actually had a condo in Hawaii. So I actually have I think I've been 4 or 5 times before I could drive a car. And then the last time I went, I got to spend the summer. It's hot in Hawaii. It's hot and the sun beats down. Kamala Harris had a little Zoom call, and you know what she didn't look like? Someone who'd just been sitting on the beach sipping Mai Tais. You get what I'm saying, fam? She didn't look like she'd been out in the sun at all. She looked tired. She looked like she'd been working exhaustively with multiple organizations to figure out how to de-escalate. Keep in mind, I'm finding out as I get into shit as we keep going, I'm finding out like there are paramilitary groups in the United States that are waiting to pounce in the event that like things don't go their way. And I've been saying all along, and this is part of that shit where like it's catching up with me now, where I'm like, shit, I kind of spoke maybe out of turn, and it's all catching up. And I'm for the record, I'm right. Like this isn't me getting on here and making a 10-minute video being like I'm wrong. I'm like, no, consider this reality that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and their administration and again people that aren't complicit, they have everyone else by the balls. They could expose, and I'm real, right? They could expose so many elected officials for their ties to Russia and Israel. And as those people get tried at The Hague, consider anyone tied to that has been receiving money or giving money or has, membership in a certain political pack, AI pack. Didn't they just pass a law where a president could determine something a terrorist organization? I'm just spitballing. And the GOP, right? Can't they name organizations terrorist orgs? Anyway, so I'm just thinking about how the law applies, how the media works with politicians, and how the government like is the actual machination, right? The branches of government, right? And I'm just setting you all up. I'm letting you all know, like, that's coming. The boring shit is coming. The thing about Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Viktor Orban, Benjamin Netanyahu, Vladimir Putin is they're going to get tried at The Hague, and that shit's televised. And I'm just letting you notice, make this space on your TiVo. And prepare yourself. Remember that video where I was fucking crying, right? That video I was crying, that was like real human emotion. It like really caught up with me. While I was making this video, it sort of caught up with me. Like, oh, some of the shit I've been saying is actually fucking coming true here. And I get it. There's some people that are like out of hope and they're like hopeless. And I'm just like, you don't understand it unless they're complicit. There are a group of Democrats that right now have a bunch of other Democrats and Republicans and the media by the balls. And they're like, hey, you need to demonstrate fascism. Every story you write needs to be a consequence of fascism. Layoffs, price increases, right? And that's what's being like mainstream media. People leaving Twitter, entire organizations leaving Twitter over Elon Musk's involvement in this election, basically cratering Twitter, for the record. Cratering Twitter, the Russian economy is cratering. Right? Understand that typically what happens when your economy is going into the tank is war. So, hence Ukraine, because they've got like an estimated $280 billion in minerals or some shit. But yeah, I wanted you to consider, though, that like, consider who is actually in control. And like, you are thinking like it's these media companies and they're complicit with Donald Trump and the maggots, and they just are running roughshod. Well, consider that Donald Trump doesn't even get inaugurated until January 20th. So he has no power. And that there's no sense in worrying up until that moment when, like I've said, do you honestly think Kamala Harris, someone who has worked at all three levels of government and who has been a prosecutor in Silicon Valley, that is going to investigate this election, determine that there was fraud, and is going to get it right? She's going to win. And then she's the person to sue exact person. And I just think they have everyone by the balls, by the law. Right? Hence all these arrests and investigations and shit. And notice like Alfie Oakes, like I said, I tied his debt forgiveness with him speaking with the feds. And I'm letting everyone know they're gonna plea out of being charged with seditious conspiracy and treason. They're gonna plea out. They're going to try to. The only thing is like, that's not how that works at The Hague. So understand, like, I think that the Biden administration and Kamala Harris's campaign have the media and the GOP by the balls. Say whatever the fuck you want, homeboy. I'm going to keep my head down and keep doing the work. Yep. We're going to tell the public that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz went to Hawaii on vacation. And by the way, it was Politico put that out first. And no shit to Politico. Like, what the fuck ever. They put that was the first source I saw that ran that story. I think what you're seeing is a slow leak where on election night, it looked like Donald Trump got what he wanted. All three branches of government and the presidency, or all three branches of government, right? The House, the Senate, presidency. And then since then, that lead slipped away. He's made some cabinet picks that put his dominance and his mandate in question. Now he doesn't have a mandate because the general elections now neck and neck. Many states are starting to recount and audit, and only a couple places have gone to certify, and they've discovered errors. So I'm just pointing this out. One of my followers told me, ask AI on Google who won the 2024 U.S. general election, and it will tell you, even after you tell it the AP called it for Donald Trump, they still tell you there's not enough evidence to determine that that's true. And I'm one of those people that I'm in school. I'm not like a intermediate at my profession. I'm a novice. And if I'm so motivated to get on here and talk to you about this, there's a reason. Is because my loyalty is to my countrymen. Country, right? Countrymen. So like, I'm telling other American citizens, like, this is de-escalation at the federal level, coming from the president and vice president who are trying to thwart a coup, that are allowing the media that wants Donald Trump in office anyway to continue to run with that and run out all his ideals and demonstrate to the public what fascism is. And it's not like a sleight of hand or we're going to get the rug pulled out from under us or nothing. I think it's just going to be a slow leak. And it's a matter of de-escalation and taking apart these paramilitary organizations as they grow frustrated. Their legs get tired from standing by and standing around waiting to get called into some city to demonstrate and start fights and shit. So no, that's the world we actually live in. And I just think that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, and like I said, for the record, and Merrick Garland and Jack Smith, I think they know their fucking shit. And they've gotten a lot of shit talked about them this whole fucking time. And like I've said, Joe Biden might be one of the best presidents we've ever had. So consider the masterclass in geopolitics and in elections that you're getting taught right now. And how you behave when a political party in your country has been taken over by an enemy, Russia, and cheated in an election. And how do you prevent the people that sided with Donald Trump, that have promised a civil war and to be violent? And Donald Trump called people that did not vote for him the enemy from within. And so how do you walk that back? I'd say you take every bit of time you can and drain as much money as you can from Vladimir Putin, from Donald Trump, because they don't have finite resources. That's what I want everyone to keep in mind. They may have Elon Musk, but he min bet. He's not all in. He's also not all cash. He's only like 120 to 200 million probably at this point in. That's a drop in the bucket compared to the billions that he's worth. And I get it. Twitter tanked, and good. And I hope SpaceX has to give up all its fucking data and all its equipment and all its knowledge to NASA. and it gets absorbed. And I hope Starlink gets absorbed and becomes a public utility. And that would be the literal definition of fuck around, find out. And again, it's time we crush the oligarchy. It's coming. And again, I just wanted to post this because I wanted to get out the thought about what if the Biden administration and Kamala Harris's campaign, what if they're the ones ripping the media's ass in private, and ripping the GOP in private, and ripping MAGA in private, and saying we're gonna bleed you dry. We're gonna make the next 60 fucking days hell, and then refuse to certify this election because you're in violation of the 14th Amendment, Article 3. And then when Donald Trump has some illness right up around that time frame, and they try to use the 25th Amendment, remember, you can't do that because he's not president yet. You can't use the 25th Amendment. Remember, I told you the legal snafu and how I grew up reading fucking Grisham, who was a prosecutor. He was an attorney. And so, like I said, that's one of the things that I've remained calm about in this situation. It's like, you know when you have no outs. We just have a fuckload of outs. I need to cut this off. I get it. I should probably have a podcast. I should go live. I like to do that shit. I got a shitty attention span. I have PTSD. My brain is all fucked up. I probably have ADHD. Probably have PTSD. I'm probably bipolar, right? I just smoke weed. It keeps me level. So that's how you get me, by the way. You'll probably never see me like stone sober. I have too much gas. Energy. I can't sit still and pace around my house. Anyway, I just want to get that thought out there. Like, who do you really think's in control? And I see very clearly. Kamala Harris. Hey, Don, you're going to keep doing exactly what you've been doing. Go be exactly who you are, Don. And they told him, and he knows. And that's why he's kind of been his head hung and shit and hasn't been as loud and as boisterous as he has. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me, oh, you're delusional. Oh, that doesn't make any sense. It makes total fucking sense. Why do you think J.D. Vance ain't said shit, son? He ain't celebrating shit. He knows he's guilty as fuck. He opens his mouth and some dumb shit comes out. And it's a matter of time before he gets implicated by Donald Trump and Elon Musk. And you know they're all going to narc on each other. So know that's coming too. Some backstabbing ass shit. Because them some backstabbing ass bitches if I've ever seen one. People wonder why like I don't get along with people like that. There are people that put profit over people, and I just don't fuck with people like that. I gotta get out of here. I love y'all.